The Diplomat is a new high-stakes political drama from a writer-producer of West Wing and Homeland, Deborah Kahn. The series stars Kerry Russell as a seasoned U.S. ambassador on her way to a post in Afghanistan when she is abruptly appointed as the ambassador of the United Kingdom. While handling the most coveted and decorated diplomatic role, she is navigating her own marriage to a star ambassador, Hal Weiler, played by Rufus Sewell. Watch The Diplomat now, only on Netflix.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to Peak Northwest, an outdoors and travel podcast by the Oregonian and OregonLive, dedicated to the adventure and exploration of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm Jamie Hale.
And I'm Vicki Connor. Together, we take you to some of the most beautiful and interesting destinations in our region, discussing where to go, what to do, and places to see. And because there is still so much snow in the mountains, we thought we'd take another trip up to the slopes of Mount Hood.
Yeah, but because neither of us has spent that much time up on Mount Hood this season, we thought we'd bring back one of our favorite guests who has, trending reporter and car-free travel expert at the Oregonian, OregonLive, our colleague, Lizzy Acker. Lizzy, welcome back to the show.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Lizzy, we understand that you have taken a recent trip up to Mount Hood with none other than your daughter, Nona.
Yep, it was pretty awesome, I have to say. You know how sometimes you're dreading something? Like, it's not actually going to be fun. I'm going to do it. I said I'm going to do it. And sometimes that works out because we had just like the greatest time. And I think my expectations were quite low. But it turned out it very much exceeded those low expectations. And it was great. I think everyone should do it, actually.
Amazing. Well, listeners may remember you talking about your trip with Nona to Cannon Beach via bus. This is a series you've been doing, seeing places you can go in the area without getting in a car, which is one of my favorite series. I love that you're doing this. So we thought we'd have you back on to talk about your trip up to Mount Hood with Nona. I am so curious about how all of this got started. But so first, I mean, what was the impetus behind going up to Mount Hood specifically?
Well, I love Mount Hood, and I love the snow and skiing and stuff like that. Plus, we see Mount Hood all the time. You know, well, okay, not all the time. It's been a very cloudy winter. But when we see Mount Hood, Nona, knows what it is and is excited to talk about it. And of all of the places that Portlanders go, Mount Hood is one that a lot of people go to. And I thought, we should be able to get there without a car. You know, I don't like to drive, and we have a 2013 Leaf, so it doesn't make it very far, especially when you're going up a mountain. Plus, just, driving in the winter on Mount Hood is treacherous. It's not fun. It's stressful. But like I said, I love skiing and I love the snow. So I thought, after I've been doing this, like taking Nona on car-free trips and also just myself, and over the summer I did a couple that didn't involve Nona, but involved my bike, because I haven't quite gotten to the point where I could take Nona and the bike. Yeah, people suggested Mount Hood, and I was like, yeah, Mount Hood is a place I want to go, because it seems like it should be so easy. On the other hand, is it? I didn't know.
So had Nona been up to Mount Hood before?
She hasn't ever been to Mount Hood. Yeah, she's a pandemic baby, for one thing. She's not fully a pandemic. She was born a few months before the pandemic started. But, there was like 2 years where we didn't do anything at all. And then it's just been, it's too hard to even contemplate driving up to the mountain with her. But she also loves the snow, and she loves adventures. And the thing that I love about taking the bus or any public transit with her is that she also loves public transit. It's really fun when you're a kid to take the bus. It's so much easier in a way because your mom or dad is sitting right next to you. Your parent is right there. You don't have to be in the back seat just sort of like alone, kicking the seat, trying to get your parents' attention. It's like we're together. We get to experience it together. And also, you guys have probably not driven with a young child, but it adds a lot to the stress level. Like, here's an example. We've been in the car before and she's like decided her coat must come off or something. And you're on the freeway and there's a kid screaming at your head like, I had my coat off. And you're like, oh my gosh, we're all going to die. You know, so that doesn't happen on the bus. You just take their coat off.
I'm curious to know, is she able to like draw the connection of, oh, we are going off to that snowy peak that sometimes we can see on a clear day? Or like, did she really know where she was going?
She did, yeah, because we'd been talking about it. So we'd been trying to take this trip for months, actually. You know, the reason we went on spring break was not the plan. The original plan was like closer to Christmas. There was really terrible weather the first time we were going to go, and I was taking her by myself. So I was not really ready to be stuck on Mount Hood with a 3-year-old. Or like, since I hadn't done it before, I didn't know about like what would happen. Like, where are the pressure points or the, you know, the places where it could go wrong. Now that I've done it, it's actually much easier than I thought it would be. I think the main consideration is where are you going to go to the bathroom, because unlike on the bus to Cannon Beach, there is no bathroom on any of these buses. They're just basically city buses. So you have to know where you're going to go pee. And if, for example, if the bus got stuck for a long time on the way to Mount Hood, that could be an issue, but that didn't happen. The bus was perfectly on time. So anyway, the first time it was the weather was just too questionable. The second time Nona got sick. And so this was the third time. Third time happened to be a charm. And yeah, so we'd been talking about it for a while, and she did know that's where we were going. In fact, she was like, so we live close to the Alameda Ridge, where you can sometimes see the mountain in the distance over the golf course. And it's just so pretty. And I'm always like, look at Mount Hood. I love it so much. So we talk about it a lot. And she at least humors me and says she also likes it. So.
Well, Lizzy, I'm so curious to see and to hear about how this trip unfolded. So why don't we start at the beginning? Where did you start with trying to get from Mount Hood? I assume from your front door. What's your first step?
Our first step, well, on the day we went, the worst weather was in Portland. It was raining like just, you know, this has been a wet spring, and it was just a miserable day outside. So we walked about 3 blocks and stopped at the coffee shop. And we were, you know, it was good because we were actually in our full snow gear, which kept us pretty comfortable in the rain. And we got a treat. Treats, crucial element in a trip with a 3-year-old or with a 40-year-old. You know, I'm a 40-year-old. I like the treats. So, and then I kind of, you know, the thing with TriMet, which I love, is that there's always, not always, but lots of times there's multiple options to get where you want to go. And basically, you need to get from Portland to the Gresham Transit Center. And where I live, there's multiple options for that. And I ended up taking kind of a longer route because I didn't want to be out in the rain a lot. So, but it was fine. We left... You know, I think that this trip could take 2.5 hours. We took a little bit longer because we left early. I wanted there to be like plenty of time. So to get to the Gresham Transit Center, we just actually took 3 buses. So that's a lot, but we didn't have to take 3 buses. We took 3 buses to avoid the rain and avoid the Max, to be quite honest. I actually, on the way back, we did take the Max, and it was fine. There's a couple Max stops that I just like don't love to get off on, and it can be easier to just take the bus. And also, I know, we wanted to take the FX too. That there's a new bus that goes down to Vision that's like super fast, and I haven't taken it before. And that was pretty fun. It was a sleek new bus.
You take a few buses to get out to Gresham, and then from there, what's your next step?
From there, well, first we went to the bathroom in a Multnomah County building because they don't have a bathroom there. But this is very crucial information because, you know, my parents actually love to do things without car. They don't have a car for environmental reasons. And so they've done this before, but they were like, there's no bathrooms. And I was like, we have to find bathrooms, you know, like, there must be bathrooms. And there's a Multnomah County building there with a public restroom. So there is a bathroom. It says public restroom, so nobody gave us any trouble or anything. I mean, it helps when you have a cute 3-year-old. What are they going to do? But yeah, so from the Gresham Transit Center, you get on the Sam, I believe it's called. There's a bus stop that will say Sam. It's a Sandy area bus, and that will take you to Sandy. And that bus is the steep cost of $1.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Really pushing it there. It's $1.
Amazing.
So
I love
if you
that.
want to take the bus up to Mount Hood, it is so cheap. I mean, you pay for TriMet. I have like TriMet passes from the days that I used to commute to work, like so many on my phone that at this point I'm just like, whatever. I feel like that costs $0, and also for a 3-year-old, it is $0. So, but then once you get to Gresham, it's $1 to get to Sandy, $2 to get to the mountain, and if you're going to do it a round trip in one day, you can buy a $5 day pass that'll get you there and back. We didn't do that, but so it was $6 total, 3 there and 3 back. And yeah, so then you take the bus, and I think that bus came every half an hour. And then the one thing you're going to want to look at is the schedule for sure, because the bus, once you get to the Sandy Transit Center, the Mount Hood Express comes like every 2 hours or one. It just depends on what time of day it is. And I do think they're moving to a system kind of like TriMet where they track the buses, but right now it's not as high tech as TriMet where you can be like, the bus is coming in 12 seconds kind of situation. So, but Sandy is adorable. The Sandy Transit Center is in the middle of town. There is a bathroom at the Sandy Transit Center. And if you wanted, you could spend an hour in Sandy. I was a little worried. I guess once you get to Sandy is when you're like, okay, the weather could be really bad and the bus could be like really delayed. And but you could turn around if you got there and you were like, nah, not gonna work. You could just turn around. But for us, the buses were all on time. We timed it, so like basically we got off the Sam and got on the Mount Hood Express. And if you have skis, you can put them. You can take them on the buses and you can put them on the Mount Hood Express. Both Sam and Mount Hood Express were not very many people when we went. And it was spring break, yeah. And then the Mount Hood Express takes you, actually, there's a bunch of stops. Well, not too many, but there's multiple stops on the way up to Government Camp, a couple stops in Government Camp, and it goes all the way to Timberline.
Is that where you ended up going, all the way to Timberline?
We actually didn't. My first plan was to go to Timberline the first trip, and then when I rescheduled it, the pool at Timberline was closed, and I was like, the pool at Timberline is really what you go for. I thought maybe there'd be more to do in Government Camp. So we went to Huckleberry Inn, which is a classic. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to Huckleberry Inn?
I have not.
No.
I stayed there like as a child. No, at ski camp as a kid in high school, and it's exactly the same. I mean, it's like, it's been the same for 50 years, but it's adorable, and Government Camp is everything's so close. I will say, almost the second thing we did. The first thing we did when we got there was go get some food because we were hungry. So we went to Rathskeller, pretended to play pinball, ate. As I said in my story, like, I don't think you go to Government Camp for the food, you go for the vibes. The food there isn't like amazing or anything. And there's lots of bread and cheese products mixed together. Mm-hmm. But there's pinball there. But then I bought a sled because I was like, I can't expect this child to walk on the snow with any sort of speed that will be acceptable to me. So I had this plan. I was like, I'll leave the sled there. Then as we were leaving, I was like, what was I thinking? I can't just like drop a sled in the middle of the, so now we have 2 sleds. And if I do it again, I'll just bring our sled, or one of our 2 sleds now. So I hauled the sled back, but it was perfect because then I could just take her around. The first day it was pretty snowy. And we did some sledding. We had hot chocolate. There's a museum there that I've never been to. It's kind of one of those things that you're like, oh, what is that? That's a thing that like my grandma would make me go to. It's like the Mount Hood Cultural Center, but it was cool. There was like, it was snowing, and windy. And I was like, let's go in and see if we can get out of this weather. And there were some pretty interesting exhibits, like, you know, stuffed taxidermied animals and a very old doll that Nona was into. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
And so how many days were you staying there?
Just 2. So the first day, and I had been like, I hadn't planned to go skiing, right? Because I thought that was too ambitious. But I did bring all of our ski stuff. Nona's never been skiing. I love skiing. I was a ski racer in high school. But I haven't been skiing since 2018. Nona's born in 2019. Wasn't going to ski while I was pregnant, you know, and then the pandemic. And it's just like, it's so expensive, so hard. But I don't know. In my head, like, I think in the back of my head, I was like, I did want to take her skiing. And on the first day, we tried to walk to Summit. We got part of the way. And Nona was playing this game where she was falling out of the sled. It's a very fun game called Fall Out of the Sled. But on the street, it's a little tricky. And she was, you know, she's 3. So her following direction skills fluctuate. And the weather was kind of crappy. So anyway, we didn't go to the mountain the first day. But the second day, we did. The weather was perfect. We got there. We walked to Summit. I pulled her on the sled to Summit. After we checked out, well, first we had breakfast at Huckleberry Inn, which opened at 6 a.m., which is ideal if you have a small child. It's just like a diner. I don't know. I love it. I think that was the high point for her in terms of food, because there was pancakes and she liked it. The night before, we went to a place where they had fondue on the menu, and it was just like cheese dip, and I'm still disappointed by it. Because, I mean, fondue is such a fun thing to eat. Please don't put fondue on your menu unless there's something, a heating element, and we're sticking bread into hot cheese. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yeah, rude.
Rude, exactly. It was fine, but that's not fondue. Okay, anyway. No. I digress. So, I pulled her on the sled with all of our stuff to Summit, which is just this little ski hill. And it was like, you know, I think it was like a quarter of a mile away. It's not very far. It is, you know, lugging a kid and our luggage, but it wasn't really bad. And there was nobody there. Like, I don't know. It was spring break. The snow was perfect. We rented skis for both of us. The other great thing about Summit is that kids under 7, I think, ski for, like, get free lift tickets. So for me and Nona to get rental gear and me to get a lift ticket, it was like $118. Whereas if you wanted to just get one lift ticket at Meadows, it'd be $150. And I'm pretty sure I don't know if they charge for kids under 7, but I think they do. So it was a good deal. The snow was good, and she was great. I mean, like, you know, I just held her and did snowplow, and they have a magic carpet there, which is, Jamie, I know you haven't skied, right? You don't know how to ski, and we're going to go take ski lessons, you and Nona.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Winter.
I'm
next
into
winter
it.
Because, yeah, because she's not old enough for ski school yet, but next winter she will be.
Oh wow, she's like the best ski lesson buddy, I imagine. I'm into it. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, so she had a great time, and then she wanted to go on the chairlift, which they have just one little chairlift, and it doesn't have a safety bar. So I was like, oh, okay, let's go on the chairlift. I mean, I wanted to because it was fun going down the tiny hill, but I was like, it'd be really fun going down the bigger hill. But the chairlift for me was terrifying. I don't know. I mean, I understand that these are old chairlifts and they can't just like put a safety bar on, but oh my gosh, a safety bar. It just makes me feel so much better. But she was like, this is like Disneyland. Like they have safety rules at Disneyland. Yeah, and then we did the chairlift 2 times. She just loved it. We stopped for a cookie at one point. I mean, I was legitimately holding on to her and just like skiing down the mountain, bombing down the hill. My legs definitely could only take so much. But it was really fun. Great snow. So I didn't sit in one line. I mean, it was wild how few people were there. I'm like, Summit, come on, people should be here all the time, but whatever, I'm not going to complain.
So does Nona now associate going on the bus with like some big grand adventure, or
she loves taking the bus, and I think part of it is because it's almost always going somewhere super fun or with her grandparents. Like once my grandparents took her to school on the bus, and we like drive by that bus stop, and she'll be like, "That's the bus stop where we stopped, or we got on the bus to go to school with Grampy and Grandpa." So yeah, she loves the bus, and I'm like super excited about, I grew up in a small town, and like it's so exciting and cool that kids can, when they get to a certain age, they can like navigate the area on their own just by public transit, which is not something that was really available to me. And everybody, learned how to drive, and then we have 16-year-olds just careening all over town. I would much rather she becomes a bus expert. I will pay for her bus pass if I can convince her not to drive. It's a long game, is what I'm saying.
Well, it sounds like you're starting down that road already. So I imagine, so you did your ski trip. That sounds like she had a great time. Like you had a good time. Going back home, was it just about the same as it was getting up there? Any hiccups you encountered?
I mean, I think going back, I was actually worried because I was like, oh, the bus isn't going to be on time. It's coming from Timberline. The bus, I even like called my dad. I was like, is the bus usually late? And he's like, when's it supposed to be there? I was like, well, in 2 minutes. and then it was there in 2 minutes, It picked us up really close to Summit. Nona had a great time because I got M&Ms at the convenience store there. Yeah, on the way back, we ended up taking the Max to Park Rose, I think. Is that? No, that's not. It's not Park Rose. I don't know. We took the Max to somewhere, wherever you can take the Max to. I don't think you can take the Max to Park Rose. Yeah, it was actually easier on the way back. In fact, the hardest part of the trip back, so when we came back, it was a beautiful sunny day, and we took a bus that, instead of like a 3-block walk, it's like a 6-block walk from our house to our house, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and Nona just like wanted to play with rocks on the sidewalk. So it was just like a really slow 6 blocks, but whatever, I didn't care. I was carrying that ridiculous sled. Yeah, wow. It was a really easy trip back. I was amazed at how on time the buses were, how easy they were. In fact, I think even if you don't want to take the bus all the way from your front door, like taking the bus either from the Gresham Transit Center, which has a park and ride, or Sandy, or anywhere even along on the way up to Mount Hood. There's a couple like park and ride spots for Mount Hood Express. I mean, it's just so much nicer than driving up there.
So if people want to kind of follow in your footsteps and do the similar trip on the bus, any advice, your best tips and tricks for doing it?
Yeah, well, if you have a 3-year-old, definitely snacks and treats. Cash. You got to bring cash for the Sam and the Mount Hood Express. So bring exact change, because they don't give change. It's basically you put money into a box. So yeah, exact change. Plan out your bathroom stops, and check the schedule in advance so you know that you're getting, know that you're getting to Sandy at the right time, or else have a plan to hang out in Sandy, which is also fine. And yeah, I mean, I would say don't be scared of it. I was legitimately kind of intimidated by the idea, because we're so used to taking cars everywhere. It seems like that's so easy, and the idea of taking the bus can be intimidating. Like, I'm going to have to transfer a bunch. I don't know why it's so intimidating, but even for me, a person who loves taking transit, it is intimidating. So I understand that, but it just worked out so well. And it's fun for a kid, but as an adult too, it's like, I would much rather arrive someplace not so stressed out that I can't relax, like not gripping the wheel, like, ah. And I think in the summer it'd be even better, right? Because you don't even have this worry about maybe it'll get delayed because of weather or whatever. So I plan to try it again, do it again in the summer. And I was telling Jamie this earlier, but I would love to take Nona on a camping trip without a car. And there's lots of places on Mount Hood you can go camping. I think the difficulty there is just, it's too late to get a camping site for next summer already. But I'm going to find some place I can take Nona camping without a car.
Well, I was going to ask you what your next adventures were, because I know you've got more car-free stuff coming up. Aside from camping, any other destination you got your eye on for car-free travel?
Oh, I really want to go to Bend. There are multiple ways you can take the bus to Bend, and I really want to do that. I don't know when I'm going to have time to do that. I'm also, now this is what I'm pitching, so everyone just email my editor and tell them I should do this, but I want to take the train to Vancouver, BC. That would be super fun. It's just so easy, and you can international travel without a car. Walk out your door and go to a different country. How cool is that? I mean, I know you can do that. You can do that on a plane, but there's something special about not taking it. I mean, I would love to take the plane to Hawaii, but I'll take the bus to the airport. But I think taking the train to Vancouver would be so cool. Or to California, take a sleeper car. But these are maybe more ambitious projects that I still have to convince the editors that they're what I should be doing. So if any listener wants to just email anyone at the Oregonian, be like, you know what I would like? Lizzy to take the train to Vancouver, BC. That would be cool.
You heard it. Send your emails in. Let's start a campaign to get Lizzy to Vancouver.
I'd love to so we have this electric bike. That's another thing I want to write about, is electric bike, because it's really cool. It would be fun. I don't know how hard it would be to put your electric bike on the bus, but take your electric bike to Vancouver. What? That'd be so fun.
Well, there's so many good ideas. That's why I love talking to you about this.
Well, and anyway, you know what? If any of your listeners have any ideas too, places they want me to go, I love suggestions. This was suggested to me by multiple people, and it was already on my mind, and that's why I did it. So, tell me what you think I should do, and what a 3-year-old might like. Disneyland? Can we go to Disneyland by train? I know it's possible.
There you go. Long train ride. I think perhaps.
Long train ride.
Yeah. Well, Lizzy, thank you so much for sharing your tips and tricks and stories. From your travels. Always such a joy having you on, and look forward to hearing about more car-free adventures to come.
Yeah, look forward to going on more car-free adventures, and it's so fun to talk to you guys, so thanks for letting me be here.
Well, folks, that will do it for now. Until next time, you can watch our videos on the Oregonian's YouTube channel and view all of our travel and outdoors coverage on OregonLive.com/travel, as well as HereIsOregon.com.
Please leave us a rating or review if you enjoy the show, and if you want to support this podcast as well as our local journalism, please consider a subscription to Oregon Live. You can find details at OregonLive.com/pod support. Also, if you're a fan of the show and you're interested in potentially sponsoring it, you can get in touch with our marketing people at advertise@Oregonian.com. This episode of the show was produced by me, Vicki Connor, alongside Jamie Hale.
Stay safe and happy travels, everyone. Until next time, we leave you with this 10 seconds of Zen.